What do you want to start with first? You will start.
A border.
Rip it and rip it.
Sounds like I got all the links ready.
Yeah, right. Welcome to News from the Pew, folks, where we take news from around the web and we talk about it. I'm your host, Rick Barrett. Yeah, there are
We figure
taglines,
things out on the fly.
right? We figure it out on the fly, and we're glad that you're here on this Friday to hang out with us, the 1st of March.
It's the first of the month. Wake up, get up.
Yeah, right. Sorry. Yeah, everybody's checks are in today, so payday for everybody. So hopefully,
I'm not supposed to like rap. I forgot. My fault.
Well, Crossroads, baby. That's Bone Thug, so it's okay. When the Crossroads come for you.
I was telling my wife about the Facebook one that did the different lyrics.
Oh,
got to poop with guys, got it.
Yeah. Well, that guy just says nonsense anyway. he just kind of mumbles around, and then everybody else picks up. That's fine. It's all good, and we're happy that you're hanging out with us today. Now, we got some stuff from around the week that we're going to talk about, and we hope that you enjoy. You want to jump into the comment section at any time, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all the fun things, help this show continue to grow, and we like you guys for doing so. So, first story of the day. We can't show the clip, but you may have heard that last week you had an Air Force airman set themselves on fire, and that is just reflective in the fact that you have an absolute mental disorder that is taking place in the military. And of course, I should have mentioned this today. The Air Force with their trans affixed person talking about how they are it is better for combat effectiveness if they have as many people with pronouns in their bios as possible. So I'm just going to give you my 2 cents on it. Last week, outside of the Israeli embassy in in DC, you had a member of these armed forces in uniform light themselves on fire, screaming "Free Palestine." The folks trying to explain away this, saying that this is a good thing, this is a bad thing. It really is just really tracking on how poisoned the military is. Now, of course, this is a result of being in continuous, non-declared, unjust wars around the world for as long as it may be, and that's as best we can. We can't show the picture of it. There's the
video would get us beat. The picture,
yeah.
No,
so that's him. Imagine doing this, and then the leftist community still not liking you because they still don't. So it just proves that no matter what, it's a losing game. But it is also reflective of how social media. It's also reflective of how the continual push for leftist causes and leftist military members within the military is impacting our youth and our service members. And I don't know, Steve, this makes me feel ready in case we ever had to engage the troops and fight them on our shores.
I mean, joking one. Let me get some laughter out of the way. All I could think of was Nelly is getting hot in here. The roof's on fire. Stuff like, that's bad. Slap. I know. And then I was texting some friends, dude, you don't have the dedication this guy has. You talking about just go, you know what? I'm going to go all out. What are you going to do? I'm going to pick it out in the day. I'm going to pick it over here. I'm going to go on a hunger strike. Man, I'm going to set myself on fire from drinking gasoline. What? It's kind of like Face Off. Get no more drugs for that guy. Where in the world do you come up with this idea going, you know what? I'm going to do the better. I think I'm going to set myself on fire. That'll do it. No, one, the state wants you dead anyways. I'm like, I remember hearing this, and I didn't know what was going on for a day, and then saw the photo or saw the video of it going, what? And then I think there was a cop that showed up later, and he pulls out a gun like,
oh, it was the Israeli defense for the actual embassy.
Yeah,
and they put the gun on the guy as
was it a water
they were
pistol?
putting him out.
Yeah, was it a water pistol or something? Shoot the guy when they didn't have a bicycle to throw at him. I mean, this is just weird. And then on top, you see what's going on out there with the more peace talks not going down because we don't want them. Israel's still bombing and bombing more people, but you have weirdos like it's kind of like the J6 thing with the I don't know if you saw the article about the third camera being turned around. There was a bomb thing, and there was the third one, and it's like, all right, where's the admiral at? It's a trap. All this stuff's a setup. There's like a with the J6, hey, we're going to set a trap for all the righties. Come in here. Oh, we got you. Stuff like this. Who's going to be like, you know what? I'm for Palestine. When you got people doing this stuff, I mean, it's one of those things, just whatever they're making you watch, whatever they're pushing in front of your face, there's always something else going on to make you a counter. Like, it's mind-boggling. Going, wow. I mean, that Al Jazeera thing, rest in power. Or,
yep.
In a week, no one's going to remember this thing. Anyway. They'll bring it up. But,
yeah, right.
Wow.
You're completely right on that. The fact is, the leftists were debating how they should supposedly celebrate him, because white leftists were saying rest in power, and then black leftists were like, oh, no, that's only for black people. So he's white. So no,
only black people cannot be racist, according to Cheryl Swoops. I don't know if you saw that. She made the dictum that black people cannot be racist.
Was that what she was attacking our girl Caitlyn?
Yeah. Well, there was the blowback from it. She did another show with Gilbert Arenas, and she mentioned, it's impossible. Black people cannot be racist.
Nope.
They just sat there and looked.
Racism is nothing more than power plus privilege. And obviously, a woman who is a decorated athlete and celebrity with millions of dollars has no privilege or power against you and me because we're white, Steve.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just privilege is being able to say stuff like that and not. It's FU. It's not FU money. It's just like, we'll just do it. It's like Whoopi. You just say whatever the heck she wants to say, and she'll never be censored for it.
No. I mean,
but yeah, this is just weird. It goes into the whole border thing going on, anyways, because more money is trying to be sent. We got the video of that after another story, but
that's the border bill, which is trying to paint Republicans into a corner because, first of all, the border bill legalizes everything that's happening. That's how they solve the immigration crisis. They come out and they say, yeah, it's not illegal anymore. Now it's all just legal. Now it's all just fine and good. The trafficking of children, which, by the way, Ken Paxton here in Texas has been making noise about Catholic Charities. And he actually went not toe to toe, but tweet to tweet with the Bishop of El Paso because he says he doesn't like Catholic Charities and Catholic Charities needs to be looked at. And the Bishop of El Paso said, we won't back down. Funny enough, I stand with Ken Paxton because Catholic Charities, we're just going to go right off the controversial clip. Catholic Charities is enabling child trafficking through its insistence on open border policies. And that's, if you look at, I think it's Charity Star or whatever the charity navigator is, Catholic Charities gets over half its funding from the U.S. government. So that's
when you get the government teats, you're kind of done after that.
Yeah, so good for Ken Paxton. I know Alan West, that was a big thing when he was running for governor. He wanted to go after. I fully support the fact, Catholic Charities may do some good things in some places, but their overall insistence right now in supporting an open border is facilitating sex trafficking, is facilitating deaths due to overdoses and all these other kinds of things. So, the border bill that they're trying to push, as I'm trying to mangle this all together with this guy too, is nothing more than a legalization of what Joe Biden and the Democrats and the Uniparty have been doing at this point. But they're going to paint it as, well, Trump got the Republicans to shut it down because they didn't want Joe to get a win. Joe can't get out of his seat right now. So I don't know what kind of... You
want the bill videos or the border videos first?
Bill, then border.
Good morning, Michael. Well, in these rare dueling visits here to the border today, President Biden and Donald Trump will outline their very different visions for how to tackle this immigration crisis. The president is expected to meet with Border Patrol and local law enforcement and to once again blame Donald Trump.
I feel
President Biden and Donald Trump will outline their very different visions for how to tackle this immigration crisis. The president is expected to meet with Border Patrol and local law enforcement and to once again blame Donald Trump for tanking that bipartisan border deal that would have included some of the toughest reforms in decades. That legislation would have imposed stricter asylum restrictions, included daily limits on border crossings and billions of dollars in new funding for security. But Donald Trump pressured Republicans to kill that bill to deny President Biden a political win. Donald Trump is also eager to run on this issue in November. He is already promising mass deportations if elected and ratcheting up his rhetoric. Today, Trump and Biden will make their case as they both look to own this issue in November, Michael.
Never watch regular TV.
We had a couple of meetings there. It was frank and honest. I think we need more frank and honest conversations on Capitol Hill.
You just need frank.
So I was happy to participate in this. We did
Where's honest?
as a group, and then I had a one-on-one for a period of time with the president, just he and I in the Oval Office. Let me say this. When I showed up today, my purpose was to express what I believe is the obvious truth, and that is that we must take care of America's needs first. When you talk about America's needs, you have to talk first about our open border. I believe in,
I am glad to see that this politician is continuing the trend of making us all want to fall asleep every time they talk.
Already did.
At events with my colleagues, and we're hearing from the American people of all parties and all persuasions and all cities and all states who feel this acutely. They understand the catastrophe at the border is affecting everyone.
You know, if he's wearing Joe Biden shoes, he's falling asleep already.
Yeah. Or is he like the Michael Jackson video where they actually have like the screws in the bottom so he can lean forward?
And again, one-on-one with the president. I think that's our responsibility to bring that up. The other big priority for our country, of course, is the funding of our government. And we have been working in good faith around the clock every single day for months and weeks and over the last several days, quite literally around the clock, to get that job done. We're very optimistic. I hope that the other leaders came out here and told you the same. We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown, and that's our first responsibility. You also heard, I'm sure, that there was discussion about the supplemental spending package, and I was very clear with the president and all those in the room that the House is actively pursuing and investigating all the various options on that, and we will address that in a timely manner. But again, the first priority of the country is our border and making sure it's secure. I believe the president can take executive authority right now today to change that. And I told him again today in person, as I've said to him many times, publicly and privately over the last several weeks, it's time for action. It is a catastrophe, and it must stop. And we will get the government funded, and we'll keep working on that. So
Here's Rand Paul.
Some of the money going. Inevitably, some of it's buying weapons. And to listen to the supporters of this bill, they are proud of the weapons and the profit that will go to the people who sell weapons. This to me just boggles the mind. They actually have a new name. They now call it the Defense Industrial Base. Since the time of Eisenhower, it was known as the Military Industrial Complex. But they've renamed it the Defense Industrial Base, and we're going to rebuild ours with war profits from Ukraine. See, we're really not giving it to Ukraine. We're giving it to Ukraine. They're giving it right back to American arms manufacturers. See, it's this sort of mercantile sort of, oh yeah, it looks like it's good for business, it's good for money. And it's like, are these people not realizing we're talking about war? A war that some estimate 500,000 people have died? And they're thinking, well, gosh, if instead of 100,000 rifles, we send them 1 million, that'll be more profit, and our companies will be bigger and more profitable and able to make more weapons for us then. Not really acknowledging that 1 million rifles might kill more people than 100,000. Or let's say we have 1,000 tanks. Well, what if we give them 10,000 tanks? There'll be more profit for the arms merchants. Wouldn't that be good? That'll be great. We're reinvigorating the Defense Industrial Base. Really? You're going to make the argument that war is good? Or maybe war ain't so bad? Or maybe just a little war here and there if we can get some more profit for these guys, the big companies, you know, the large multinational arms manufacturers, if they could just get a little more profit. A little more profit would be good because that'll reinforce the Defense Industrial Base.
The Supreme Court won't hear oral arguments until the end of April. Now, let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything. Yeah. You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president? What?
President, look at your note card, Whoopi. She has to look at a note card.
Throw every Republican in jail.
She had to look at a note card for that, folks. By the way, let me get this one up here. I think Steve missed this one. He doesn't miss a lot, but this one's pretty good. I don't know if you did or didn't.
I saw it. I just didn't bring it up.
They actually, that's the Mexican military screaming Trump.
They like Trump. Could you believe it? They like the government.
I mean, why
He
not?
got his shoes.
Yeah, right. He's got his Trump Force Ones there. But the border's a mess. It'll always be a mess.
$70 billion, I think, is going to Ukraine in that bill, but they're not going to tell you that on MSNBC.
Oh no, not at all.
Taiwan gets money. Ukraine gets money. Israel
Everybody
gets
does.
money. Everybody. You get $1. I get a car.
Yeah.
You get a car. You get a car. Jonathan, you get nothing.
Money train just keeps rolling, baby. I mean, as long as the printer is going burr, then there's no reason to stop printing it. There's just none in that regard.
But it's about the border. My fellow Americans, it's about the border. Hey, Zelensky, here comes a couple $100 million.
And it's never enough for him. He's always asking for more. It's never enough. And despite the fact they've slaughtered generations upon generations of men in that conflict, for what? For the American military industrial complex.
Well, not just that, but they said they're going to join NATO, which 3 days prior, Putin comes out saying if they, join NATO, it's war.
It's over.
And 2 days later, hey, where can we sign? We need that war. We need the money, baby. Then France is saying they want war. They can't wait to get. Macron is talking about it. Germany says we don't want in, but yeah, we'll have war. Maybe we'll have a hot summer, man-made global warming.
Possibly. Jonathan, I know you try to stay out of the muck of this stuff from day to day, which makes you better than all of us. But the idea of the border being completely wide open, the fact that money is being printed out and spent for everybody else but homeless Americans, veterans, whatever the case may be, you don't even have to be in favor of the money being spent, but the fact is it's not being spent on people that live here. It's being spent on everybody else but us. And so in charity and so forth, it's just an absolute disaster.
Yeah. I mean, and there's surely something diabolic in the truths that Rand Paul was pointing at. But I think it's a little bit simpler than even he lets on. And I know he knows this because he's big into, even if we're not maybe all, how should I say, Ayn Randians or Misesians, von Mises and all like he is. The point of it all is that, as you just said, Rick, the printers are still running. So they're able to encourage destruction and death far, far away from here, and just basically it's a way to pay their buddies who surely have their stocks and their investments and their different handouts from the companies that are producing whatever is being sent other than actual financial aid. So whatever's being given to them, arms or whatever else it may be, to any other country. And this has been at least since the time of Eisenhower, probably way, way before, probably back as far as handouts like this have been going on since World War I. But their buddies are getting rich off of it, right? And then their buddies who get rich off of it can give them gifts. So I mean, it's a fancy money laundering scheme is basically all it is. At least in essence, for them, it's just the more money they have, they can buy, the things that tickle their fancy, And I think there probably is, again, as I said, a diabolical element to it where, just like with Epstein. The perversity eventually finds these really wealthy people who aren't committed to virtue. And so, encouraging death, as long as it's not touching them and their families, kind of the immediate, close to home thing, then they've got to do something like that. They've got to offer their pinch of incense to Satan in some way. And that's what it is. It's going to be war, or it's going to be something Epsteinian, it's going to be something horrible like that, that is being funded, so they're getting their money, which is a neutral good, but there's got to be some sort of diabolical in it because of because they're just lying otherwise, right? I mean, because this inflation is killing everybody else who's trying to work hard for a living, and they know that. None of them are. Not a lot of them are that stupid. Maybe AOC, but But anyway, I mean I think that's basically what's going on.
It's actually kind of funny because a $5 foot long costs $13 now. So that just tells you where we are as far as inflation. Obviously, I have to quote food on a Friday in Lent because I'm starving.
Well, how about Wendy's? Did you see Wendy's?
Oh, yep. Folks,
They're
this is
spending
fantastic.
Millions. Did you see this, Jonathan?
They're channeling the Uber model. The Uber model, Steve.
The Uber model, yeah. So, all right, say you go in for lunch at peak hours, okay? What is it, 11 to 2, maybe? We'll just say that. Because it's peak hours, depending on market demand, it raises the prices up. So they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe less, tens of millions of dollars for this technology. So when you go in, it will automatically figure out how many people are coming in, and it will jack the prices of the food up because of demand, so that it will lower it when demand goes down.
Which means I actually found out my new, John, before you jump in, my new business model. I'm going to go in at 10:45 and buy all the Baconators. And that way I will sell them. I will undercut Wendy's by selling them at half the price
on
of
the
what
black
they
market.
are. It's in the works, baby.
There's a black market Baconator on the corner.
Hey,
I got your
Rick's food truck.
The contraband Baconators.
Hey,
even if you're making
Baconator,
just 10 cents, make 10 cents a slice of bacon, and you'll be making out before you know it.
Yep, like a hog. I'll be making out like a hog on that one.
Yeah, McDonald's is having a rough time, even though I did not know they were a real estate company.
Yep. That's where they make their money, man. That's where they make their money on that stuff.
They don't care what anything else. Their dollar menu's gone. I mean, they come out saying people make 45,000 and less are not coming in anymore, and their profits are going up because of the
real estate.
More of the affiliate, not the affiliates.
Yep. Burger King's closing a bunch because they're not real estate, so they're actually suffering from that. It should be clear and easy for Trump to just run on economic stuff, and that's the only way. Like, I actually went in yesterday for my early voting, and I pulled the lever for Trump. And some of you guys may think that that's not a good thing, and I get that because Trump came out with this. I don't know if we talked about this last week, but Alabama came out with this ruling that was going to get rid of IVF treatments, and Trump and Kerry Lake and a bunch of other politicians came screaming out saying, oh, no, IVF is good. We need IVF. IVF is something that helps families and all this other kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's not great that Trump, first of all, he moved his pro-life opinions back to 16 weeks or whatever the stupid number was. Now he's coming out, and now the Republican Party is coming out being pro IVF. And it's just, I would get it if you threw your hands up in the air and said, well, I can't vote for any of these guys anymore because of that kind of stuff. But,
every state in America, you saw what happened. It's become sort of a big story. I put out a statement, and so many politicians are calling me, thank you for that statement. I put it out on a thing called Truth Social. It's the hottest platform. It's also
he's about to make $10 billion from that, by the way.
It's hot, and it's truth. Everyone said, you'll never get the name Truth. I said, let's try it. Sir, don't bother. You're not going to. They wanted something with 5 letters, like tweet. I don't know. Is it a tweet anymore? I don't think so. It's X. So what do? Say you're going to tweet? I don't know. They changed the name.
Yep. So he put that out, and then Kerry Lake ran out to do it, and all these others ran out to do it. And, it's not. IVF is awful. IVF is terrible. But what IVF does, it supports the medical industry. And, one way or another, both sides, the Uniparty, they got to get their money from them somehow. So it's not encouraging adoption. It's not encouraging any of these other things. Nope. Let's go to the medical. Let's go play God. Let's, destroy hundreds of souls because we pick and choose and do all these other, it's awful. And so I'm sorry, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants here today, but I definitely wanted to get this into the discussion as well. And I wanted to hear from John and Steve, their thoughts on that. John first.
So you mean the whole IVF thing? Is that?
Yeah. Everything I just mumbled about for like 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be some messiness in politics that, I mean, this is just kind of rehashing what's been known since time immemorial. There's always going to have to be some tolerance of the things that you can't, or that would hurt you too, try to rectify immediately. Everybody gets that, right? And has gotten that since time immemorial. But clearly, this is more than just tolerance. I mean, these guys are now effectively playing cheerleader, and all you can say is that I think, I don't know, I mean, somebody prove me wrong if there's a way that this could be handled otherwise, or viewed from another aspect. I'd love to know about it. I'd love to think better of people, especially someone like Carrie Lake and others, like that Catholic guy that was even cheerleading for Trump like that. So it's just, eventually you're going to get to the point in politics where you have to choose either to stick to your principles, or it's going to be a slippery slope if you bend or break on one of those principles, and before you know it, you're cheerleading for something that you just said, weeks ago was wrong, or that you knew was wrong. So I think that's pretty much what it is that we don't really have any principled politicians. We don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Rand Paul. Maybe there are a handful out there that not all of their principles obviously are kind of correct, as it were, but I don't know. So few that, and so few who would actually run for higher office again. I don't think Rand Paul's crazy enough to try to do it again. But just too few that would stick to principles, and that to me that's the biggest frustration with Trump is that there is still a brilliance about the man kind of putting his finger to the wind and knowing which way it's blowing, and there's a certain sense in which the more you do that for I'd say the average Joe, which is what Trump seems to do a little bit better than Biden, then obviously you're going to end up hitting the right marker more often than Biden does, who clearly is just carried around by other people, led by others. So I mean, that's the only benefit I think right now for Trump is that he does still, at least putatively, give a little bit more nod to what the average American might be wanting right now. And that's not always virtuous. So again, I guess you could say in a certain sense, Trump is sticking to his principles. He's going where the wind's blowing. And I mean, I don't know what the number would be, but most Americans have no moral, I mean, overwhelming majority, probably 90 some odd percent, have no absolute moral they don't have the vocabulary to describe what could be wrong with IVF. Even if they thought it was wrong or had some sort of misgiving about it, they wouldn't have the vocab to just say, all right, or just in basic words, here's what's probably wrong with it. They don't have that. So, with that at play, I don't see how we could have expected anything different.
Exactly. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, two things. Well, yeah, like you said, the cheerleaders. I mean, was it Jack Posobiec? Jack Posobiec.
He's the man for it.
He's gotta kiss the ring. If he doesn't,
he actually came out with a statement trying to justify it immediately after, and everybody's like, "Nah, that don't work."
Yeah, no, because you got to kiss the ring. He has to be more Trump than Catholic in it. And I know that probably like, oh, you're judgmental. Oh yeah, see if he comes out and says, "Oh, well, Mr. Trump's wrong, and here's why," and see if he gets invited to Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
No chance in God's green earth him or the other guys would come out. They're having a Catholics for Trump thing rally again, prayer thing in a couple weeks down in his Mar-a-Lago, whatever. And which great, yeah, we should be praying. We should be praying for Biden. We should be praying for everybody, but we only just pray for Trump apparently for some reason. Not that that's a bad thing, but apparently we don't do it for everyone else. But yeah, I mean, I remember I jumped on him, and then quite other priests jumped on him too about it. But you got to understand, he has a 3x5 card. He is in control of his handler, which is Donald J. Trump, DJ Trump. He will never come out and say, Trump was wrong on this. If that happens, I will come over and shine your shoes. Hey, no way that's going to happen. Again, he needs that to be able to go down. And then everyone's like that online. If you want somebody to share your stuff, you got to brown nose a little bit. And if you want to get Trump, you want Trump to do X for you. You want Jack to do something. You want all these guys to do something. You want Jack to tweet you or things like that. Notice nobody these high levels have ever tweeted anything that I posted on Sus Fidelity or anything like that. That's because I don't brown nose. I do not care on that stuff. And human respect thing, do not, maybe it's because as a family, we met all these professional athletes when I was, 8 to 50, 8 to 12. And I was getting autographs from guys that are in the major, that are Hall of Famers. And just, when someone says, I did this, it does, that Shania Twain, it doesn't impress me much. I mean, I met Ozzie Smith when we talked, World Series baseball with Tom Bernansky, and, met Pete Rose quite a few times. And the 1990 World Series Reds and the 80s, the Cardinals from 89, and just all these guys, just Joe Nuxall and Jim Palmer, and these guys it doesn't impress me. Who who I am? Don't care. Are you wrong? Yes. But as Jonathan brought up a principle, we don't have anybody in politics. We sure the heck don't have anybody that, what would you say, media-wise, good or Coke or Pepsi side, that has the stones to say you were wrong to their own people. They don't have, one, they're scared. Two, the human respect thing. Three, they know that they got a cush lifestyle. Jack's on this big, TV show, which my gym ends up now has on every so often. It's like, well, can you turn ESPN back on? I like that way better than their channel.
And watching Steve Bannon pretend to be homeless every time he's on.
Charlie Kirk was on today. I'm going, who's watching this? And I know there's Charlie Kirk fans out there, but that's another thing. If you don't kiss the ring, they don't share you. They don't put you on your program and all that. You're on a program like that, it's because your head is firmly planted. As Dr. Wood says, you're on the 3x5 card, and you're only allowed to say the 3x5 card thing. Now, on the other hand, with the Alabama, we mentioned this before last week. Roll Tide. That's federalism right there in action. States being states. You want to end IVF? You want to end abort? You want to end gay so-called marriage? States.
Yep.
Like that tomorrow. And you'll see all these guys, Gruesome Newsom, all these losing their minds over it. And how easy it is for us to get guys like, like-minded people. Get a cold. I've been trying to do this in a sense with the Hamish Fraser idea. Get cells in each state. And I wish I was smart enough to put a website together that I could put the entire continental United States up and have somebody in each state being leading off each one. And then little segments, little spirits going through. Everyone's on a united plan. There's a centralized, here's the idea of everything going. You work your area. And if we did that, we'd take over each state. But we have to have the will, the want, and all that. None of these guys, they just want the clicks. They want the money that's coming in from being on the Trump train. They want hey, we're speaking at this conference that's going to be the same thing as last year. That's going to get us nowhere. But hey, I'm speaking at it, so I'm important. And just like the CPAC that does absolutely nothing. And these human rights, there was the rally in Arizona. It's human something. I can't remember what it is. Does absolutely nothing besides just like, let's get together and, slap each other on the butt type deal things. Hey,
great example too is the Dodger protest. There you go, Steve. I'll tee you up, buddy. I'll tee you up. The Dodger protest. Everybody thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And the Dodgers, they lost the World Series, Steve, because the Texas Rangers didn't do it, but they did.
I mean, the whole Ranger thing. Yeah, it's good. Pull for the team like that. But that didn't mean that, the protest did anything. I mean, what's going on? I mean, again, it's just, if you
realize God cares about who wins the World Series. That's why he blessed the Rangers and cursed the Dodgers.
Yeah, because God cares about who wins the World Series.
He just wants to make sure the Dodgers lose.
It's like that atheist online going, I never see anybody saying, thank God for something bad. And you never see a kicker who misses a field goal going, or a strikeout going, thank God I struck out, or, round out to a game-ending double play. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for helping me out in this. And you don't always see that. It's blessed be God. We say it all the time. Blessed be God in good times and bad. Or John of Avila, 1,000 blessed be gods is better than one, and 1,000 in good and bad times is better than one in good. We don't think that we don't think that even is even in our own circle. If we somebody gets fired, how many of us would say blessed be God? Because that's almost like you're slapping them in the face. Because I'll get that and do I say something like that? I'm not, don't immediately say that to them, but you're going, how will they take it? You're going to, will they? Yes, it sucks, but it's one of those I'm not going to send you my thoughts and prayers. These sweet thoughts and prayers. It does absolutely nothing. It's like Bob Knight. I don't know what a game phrase. Is that a game face? What is, send your thoughts for, Facebook tells you, send your thoughts for someone's birthday. I don't know what that means. But yeah, we don't think that as in, blessed be God. Something bad happens. All right. I remember when the channel got shut down a couple years ago. I was I told my wife, I was smiling. I go, channel got kicked off. I don't know what happened, but it got kicked off. And, I thought, we'll figure it out. And, I'm going to go to Adoration Chapel and say thank you. And I saw a couple seminarians. They go, what are you so happy about? Channel got kicked off. It was in my head, but I was trying to fight it. Go, be happy. And then obviously it came back up a couple hours later. Thanks be to God. But but no, you don't see anybody doing that stuff like that. But going back into what we're talking about on this, if we wanted the change, we would. But I don't think we want it enough. We don't want people that, hey, let's get involved. Let's get in our city. Let's get in our county. Let's get in the state house and fix it overnight. You want to get Texas flip? All right, get in there, Texas. Go in there and just throw the gauntlet down. There's some trails down there that are activated. Colorado, stop complaining. Get involved. You got the trannies in there? Get involved. Get in Virginia, wherever. You get in there and kick some tail, you'll be able to do something. You don't? I know some people get mad at you, say federalism, forget about it. That's the only way it's going to work. Secular level, this is the only solution.
Well, technically, when they say that, that's kind of stupid because that's the whole system of government.
They don't know what they're talking about when they say that. Just
because you're not using it doesn't mean it still isn't the foundation for what the government actually is.
What was it? Alabama? Who would have thought? Raise your hand if you would have thought IVF would have been on the game card, kicked off. I mean, maybe you could say abortion. Nobody goes after contraception anymore. And sure the heck ain't nobody going after IVF. For Alabama, that's
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, man. There you go. There you go.
You can do this you can end all this at the state level.
You could. And the great thing is that it sparks the conversation. Now, of course, do people want to take the time and effort to do so? No, because things are comfortable. And that's just the reality. People are way too comfortable. Even in tough times here, people are still way too comfortable. As we can all have the joke right now, how many people are setting up their fish fries at the Knights of Columbus for their penitential meatless Friday, or how many people are going for the bottomless? I'll confess to it right now. There have been some Lents, some Fridays in Lent. There's a great barbecue restaurant down the street that does bottomless catfish, fried catfish. I've indulged in it. On Fridays. And you know what? Not during Lent, but I had somebody give me crap for that once, and I was like, well, I fasted, 3 days prior, but things are. Our access to comfort, Steve and John, is too easy at this point that nobody wants to change anything, even if they want to complain about how crappy everything else is in their immediate bubble. Everything's fine. So why change? Why risk changing any of it? And that's why they want to go back to Trump, because he can come out pro this, pro that, pro IVF, pro abortion, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. The economy will get back into shape, and that'll be better for us. Then we can fix everything else.
Well, even John, you weren't on last week or the week before, but I mentioned about I mentioned Haley. Remember, you probably on when last time I saw about her being VP pick, because they were saying that she would be the moderate, because there was during the whole road going down thing, and people were saying, well, he needs a moderate lady with him. That's not going to be all about ending abortion. They get the moderates in, because this is all about winning elections. So Trump, 4 years ago, all the pro-lifers are all jacked. They're still jacked. It's because, tiptoe in the water. You still got the Catholics guys going down there at Mar-a-Lago doing this big prayer thing with Caviezel and all these guys going down there. So they're still on board. So his IVF thing didn't really phase that at all. So now he's got our Catholics on board. Now he's going to get the moderates in, because he can't look like a nutter, because that's all they're saying online or on news. They're going after Roe. They're going after Roe. They're going after Roe. Not just that saying that they're saying that, but they're going after a federal amendment. They want to get rid of they want to put a federal thing. We need to put a federal thing in, which we talked about last year. That's the end game for this. You put this in, you put your nose under camp. You're going to get Roe 2.0 in the not so distant future. But for him to come in to win votes, he needs to get and people say he's not a politician. Come on, man. He is by definition a politician when he does stuff like this.
Yep. I mean, they're all politicians. You have, even if you want to claim that you are not, if you are ever in politics, you are.
Lock her up. She ever get locked up?
Nope. You want to jump in, John? You good, or what do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just I'll give a little bit of pushback because I'm going to a fish fry here in about an hour.
It's just Steve and I agreeing. Go ahead.
And plus, I was thinking about this the other day. I like our chats always because I feel like there's a sense of charity, but also there's no stuffiness. Like if one of us wants to say, I don't know about that. There's a freedom of speech here, if we can use the popular word now. That's as
long as I feel it's okay, because I will mute you if I don't agree.
As we have seen. But I mean, I don't think you get that with the other Catholic mouthpieces, or else they end up breaking up after a few months, as we've seen too. But the one thing I was going to say is that I hear a lot of big trash talk about the local fish fries at the Novus Ordo parishes from trad folks in let's just say locally. And so I went to 2 different ones in the area around here in Atlanta in the last few weeks. And just to see I know it's Lent on a Friday, so I know the aim should be on a penitential growth in union with our Lord. But I saw these folks just recreating, smiling, and having sat down. I chose my seat in both cases in between. There are a lot of Hispanics that were sitting on one side and a lot of Anglos on the other side. The language difference. What are you going to do? But listening to both and trying to, kind of take in from each ear what was being said in Spanish versus English, it was kind of interesting. I mean, the folks were having good conversations with Catholic stuff, with kind of recreational stuff coming up. And I mean, they were clearly seeking they were seeking something more than just the average at a Catholic parish. And I thought, this is good. Over a meal, let's just assume it was their only meal of the day. They had fasted till 5 p.m. Over a meal, you usually want to be talking about something like that. It's kind of like what table reading would be in a seminary or in a monastery. It was a conversation that was salty, to use the modern Christian term. So I was just impressed. I was thinking, if we had just follow my train of thought, if we had a fish fry like this at the average, well, I don't know. If we had it at many different trad parishes, what's the sort of conversation we'd have? Oh, Pope Francis is, oh, local bishop that, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it may not be the ultimate best, but I thought, oh, this is what Catholics are supposed to be doing whenever they're eating together. Like, this is the kind of conversation you're supposed to be having. How do we go in holiness? And, hey, what'd you do last week? Oh, that sounds cool, man. Tell me some more, Anyway,
hey, John, on that topic, there was a priest out in South Carolina, Blythewood. Might have told you about him he was trying to get me to do the youth ministry thing. I ended up giving him, say, here, take the 40,000, build a better looking church, or an actual looking church. It was one that had the starting lineup, and it was the Kumbaya thing and all this, but he had this great evangelization thing, like for fish fries. He made everybody at his parish, and he gave them the ticket to give tickets to people on their street. And if you ran out of people on the street, you'd hang them on the door. It was door hangers. Put them on their doors. And when you run out of that, just recruit other people that come to our parish for fish fry. They eat for free.
Evangelization.
Imagine if we had trad parishes doing stuff like that, which again, what you're talking about, not going nuts on the clergy or anything like that, having good conversations. You think we could convert the neighborhoods? Here's free dinners going on right now. Maybe we are fasting right now. Maybe we're not eating it, but you eat everything you want. And then, by the way, we're here all weekend, and here's a Q&A later.
Talking about people are going through financial difficulty. Isn't this the time the church should step up on Fridays and be like, hey, we know Fridays is a tough meal for family night and stuff like that. Come on down to the parish. We will feed you as much as you want. We have stuff for your kids and blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing.
This parish was uglier than anything. It was the worst liturgy I've ever seen. But he had a tremendous event. The only reason why it didn't work is because the church was ugly and the liturgy was god awful. That was really it. I mean, he had a map, and everybody that was on the parish roster, he handed those to him, You recruit everybody on your road, and then give them to people. And we're giving everybody that comes there is not a member of the parish free. There's free evangelization at price. That's what, $40,000 diocese salary. Do that.
Man, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually a nice way to break off of how there's a certain way things need to be done mindset that's happening right now in both the Novus Ordo and the Trad, all over the place. There's like only you have to sing from the certain hymnals from either one, and there is so much fear of going out of the way to do something like that, Steve, because well, what are the Trads going to say, or what are they, what are my people in my parish, or what if it gets picked up on X or on somebody's going to do a video making fun of me, whatever, man. That's actual evangelization. That's actually doing the will. That's bringing people in from the cold, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's amazing, and it should be done more of. Really should be. And for lack of a better term, that's just good. It's just good.
You can have a photo of Rick up front. Stay away from this guy. Keep your fish away from this guy.
That's right. I'll eat all of it. I just get away. Hey, man.
Cookie Monster with the fish.
I'm just Cookie Monster with food. What are you talking about? That's why I don't eat during Lent, because that's my penitential. I have to be as penitential as possible. I went from 215. I'll tell you right now. I was like 215, 218. Weighed myself yesterday. I'm 199. Because I eat bread during the week. And Sundays, I know. Taylor Marshall did a video on it. You're not supposed. I eat. I celebrate the Lord's Day on Sunday. I celebrate it. I eat whatever the hell I want. But
I'll do it right for you. I got some mealworms right here. Let me rip that off for you.
The rest of the week, guys, all I do is eat a couple pieces of bread. That's it. I had popcorn last night when I went to go see Dune. But outside of that, I don't eat because food is my vice. Food is my vice. I overindulge all the time. So I hope every Lenten season I do this, and hopefully that'll be the start of me conquering it and so forth. So that's what it is, man. So yeah, keep food away from. Long story short, too late. Keep food away from me. That's really it.
Well, these taste like chicken. I don't know if you guys like that or not, but I'm on.
You're eating the bugs, Steve. You're eating the bugs.
It's very high protein. Did you know that?
Steve he's a
I'm just
psyop.
kidding. I'm trying to bring in bluebirds.
He's a psyop all along. He's eating the bugs. That's a pod that's in there that he's living in. He's been a complete psyop from day one.
Floss is calling me right now. I'll be back.
That's right. Right. That's how we can afford it. That's because he's got Schwab on speed dial. But anyway, what else? I know you got another video. Oh, is that Joey B asking Trump for help on the border?
It's time for the speakers and some of my Republican friends in Congress who are blocking this bill to show a little spine. Pass a bipartisan, remember, bipartisan. Conservative leaders supported this. Border security bill. Let's remember who we work for God's sake. We work for the American people.
We have an extraordinary contrast. We have President Trump back in the state of Texas, literally on the border itself, a place that he's been to many times, talking about all the things that he's done to secure the border. At the very same time, we have President Biden down in Brownsville, Texas, which was an obligatory visit by him. He'd never been to the border. In fact, I don't think he's on the border itself right now. He's in some sanitized location in the Brownsville area, not seeing the razor wire that Texas has put up around Brownsville. And he announced that he was going to Brownsville after it was already known that President Trump was coming to the state of Texas. It just goes to show that Biden does not care about either Texas or the border and what's going on. As a result, you see a disaster. The United States of America is dealing with more deadly consequences than we have in our entire lifetime because of Joe Biden.
And the reason why Border Patrol agents are so upset about this visit is because he's not going to any location where he's going to be able to evaluate what he needs to do. What are the policies? What are the programs that need to go into place? And he's not going to be able
They should really just do a duel.
To do that in Brownsville, if he would have went to San Diego, if he would have went to Tucson, if he would have come out here to Eagle Pass, if he would have went to the trouble locations, he would have been able to get a little bit more understanding and evaluate the situation to come up with it. He's not going to do that. He can't do that. He's repeatedly said that he doesn't have executive authority to control this, and if he turned around and he did something today, then everybody would recognize that the past 3 years are all on him.
Now, as for the former president, when he goes to Eagle Pass, he's going to say, I was the guy who was building a wall, and all of a sudden that froze under this president. But he wasn't very helpful when it came to this bipartisan measure to try to get something done. Now, there's ample criticism on both sides of that measure, but many Republicans were afraid to support it because he didn't like it.
American people want us to do is get the job done. Joe Biden has taken the lead. Republicans had in their hands the ability to get this done and prove that, no, Washington is not as dysfunctional as it seems. We actually can solve this. And when Donald Trump...
She's the governor of New York. When did she get in the Senate of the federal government?
I mean, why not?
I saw that going, I have to download this because why are you talking about this?
Because her own state is falling apart, so she can't talk about that. She can't talk about the fact that New York City is becoming literally a beat for beat recreation of Escape from New York. All you need is a young Kurt Russell, and we're good to go.
That movie scene about the people creating their own prisons.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's one. New York. Yeah, for anybody that lives in New York, you're still in New York. Why?
I don't know. You should be watching Steve grow his strawberry plants and all these other things.
Oh, dude, you ever heard of these? Moringa. Apparently, they call it like the miracle plant. I had to order a couple. You can't find those. Anyway, yeah, no, there's. I got a grow tray. I got a bean that's that big after 2 days.
Well, yeah, that is fantastic. Just the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, that when you're looking at all this, it's really just the world is as it is. It's spinning. It's going around. It's going to do what it has to do. People are going to get worried about it. As Steve likes to say, focus on local, focus on family first, build out from there. Try to get as much in your churches as well. I guess we'll address this. We don't really do this that much. While I'm talking about this outside of our show, which is obviously just amazing, you got to be careful of the people that are out there. There was a certain and you guys don't have to follow me on this train, but whatever.
Are we doing the cry room already?
No, I'm just mentioning now. I already got somebody else different for the cry room. I'm going to kind of fit this into what we were doing. Guys are going to promote things, or they're going to jump off on stuff before all the facts are out, because they're trying to keep you in their wheelhouse, or they're trying to keep you in a constant state. Maybe they don't know purposely, but they're doing it. So just be careful. And I mean, if you want to vet us too, you can always vet us as well. You should. And it happened where there was just blind faith in some of these guys on YouTube. They're not theologians. They're not doctors of the church. They're not anything else. That doesn't mean don't watch them. Just be careful about giving any of us blind obedience in that regard. So that's all I had to say about certain things in regards to Catholic media. I don't know if anybody else has any parting shots before we switch to the crime room and Saint of the Week.
Nice.
All right, so
we're with you. Yeah, 100%. That's what I was mentioning before.
All right, so let's jump to Saint of the Week. Steve, who's your Saint of the Week? Because every time I ask John at first, he always asks me to pass anyway. So I'll just go straight. I'll learn my lesson and go straight to Steve at this point. Steve, who do you got for Saint of the Week?
All right, I'll do. It'll be a weird one. I'll do Raymond. Let me get Raymond out. Where did I put Dear Ray? Bumblebee Tuna.
Bumblebee Tuna, huh?
No, one of the guys I used to play ball with used to
And I actually had mine ready.
Go ahead.
Did you? Did you? And Cox on me. Cox on my house.
So
Go ahead.
All right. So mine is, you guys don't know him, but it's the local, well, at one of these two churches I went to, the head of the Knights there. And I saw how he was going and doing everything at this fish fry and had a good smile on his face, was just asking everybody how they were doing, making sure it was running smoothly, juggling lots of balls. And so I asked somebody else, but well, that's really impressive. And the person I asked said, yeah, and he's actually grumpy by nature. So the fact that, he's probably hungry. He hasn't eaten yet because he got there early to help with the fry. And so, I mean, just seeing something like that, boy, we here love the Latin Mass, and we know that we're getting fed so well by the traditional liturgy of the church. And yet there are folks out there who, on let's say a much skimpier diet liturgically, are making real strides and growing in holiness, and it's beautiful to see, and it lets you know that grace is still active. So this guy, the local head of the Knights Council there at this parish, putting on this thing, beating down the weaker parts of his nature and elevating everybody else while they were there, just beautiful. That's my saint. And then since you let me go first in the cry room is the infamous Kennedy Hall, who not only can he never defend anything he says about the SSPX, so he has to tell people, can we just drop it now about Lefebvre? That's over and over on that train, because he didn't want anybody mentioning anything and examining the evidence. Let's just go ahead and canonize him. Let's not have we want to mock the removal of the advocatus diaboli, the devil's advocate, in the modern tribunals of canonization, unless we're talking about Archbishop Lefebvre. And then, going out on a limb and guessing that horrible things are going to happen in the fraternity. And then even assuming that the meeting yesterday went, by American standards yesterday, went horribly, when in actuality, according to the fraternity, and I guess we'll have to wait and see if it's truthful or not, but why would we trust somebody else who had no access to the interview versus the people who were there themselves? Seemed like it went incredibly well.
John, give me your thoughts on this, because this just came out. So everyone's now losing it because apparently there was a note about the communion at the Chrism Mass, celebrating. And the words are everyone's saying his request for, says in here, expresses his wish while respecting the freedom of each individual priest for the celebration of the Chrism Mass, or at least the presence of the Eucharistic communion priest at the ceremony. Everyone's losing. I'm looking at that as, okay, so what? If they're in the front row, do we shoot them because of that? Or is trans going to lose their minds? Or they're at the Chrism Mass. Are we at that level? I mean, really? Are they not allowed to go? I get that, I'm not saying they go up there and put your arms up and things like that. But if I remember, I think then when we were at all LMC, didn't they go to the Chrism Mass before? I remember Father talking about doing that, I think, and they sat in the front row.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I mean, what do you expect when there's so much out there that would demonstrate a doubt in validity of any sacraments of Novus Ordo, and the way the SSPX, routinely reiterates the sacraments of initiation and much less the Eucharist. So, I mean, to me, it seems like for looking at it from their side, it seems like a reasonable request. Like, show me you don't think that the sacraments in and of themselves are invalid, because at least if you show up, then that would show to me that you don't think this is a fake sacrament here. So, whether or not they end up going, I don't know, but looking at it from the other side, it seems like a very, very reasonable thing to ask for. Show that you don't doubt the validity of these sacraments by showing up. I'm glad I wouldn't have to go and that I could just be comfortable here in my local trad parish, but I also see the prudence of such a request. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Fantastic.
Gents, I love you. My phone is at 1%. So,
God bless, bud. Thanks for hanging out with us. Steve, you're up, bud.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to go with I know it's a different saint, but
social media last night. Very interesting.
Because he's getting a lot of flack for this.
You see black support eroding from Joe Biden. This is connecting with Black America because they love sneakers. They're into sneakers. They love this is a big deal, certainly in the inner city. So when you have Trump roll out his sneaker line, they're like, wait a minute, this is cool. He's reaching them on a level that defies and is above politics. The culture always trumps politics.
And the reason why I said that is because of people were losing their minds about they're talking about shoes and things like that. Where's DJ Khalid?
Get my Jordans dirty. Can I get everybody to help me? Please, everybody help me.
Get on the side.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You want to get in the back?
Can't mess up the chase. I'm performing live right now.
This guy has tons of shoes. Apparently, rented his shoe closet for something $1,100 or something on what's that site you could rent a house or something?
Zillow? Not
no,
Zillow.
no.
Verbo? Airbnb?
Kind of Airbnb'd it. But I also if I was Fawaz, let me pick Fawaz. I would put these guys in the crime room. I don't know if everyone saw this. This is from my hometown, Spartanburg, South Kakalaki, happened in Greenville. It is just a sign of the times, I guess.
Told us about a man who he said wanted to eat a child. Yes, eat her, as in cannibalism. And that was just one of the shocking details we heard at that press conference this morning. A knock on the door.
What's up, man? What's up?
Met by guys in green. 45 people arrested for being child predators, prostitutes, johns, human traffickers, and this.
A gentleman wanted a person brought to him that he could eat, physically cannibalize.
That was Justin Ben Singh, who also, according to this warrant, planned to kidnap a child and make her drink her own pee to get him off.
You want to talk about the depravity of humanity? Look at these people.
People like Assam Batros.
He took an erectile dysfunction pill before he got there. And then he injected himself with testosterone into his genitals.
All while thinking he was meeting a 14-year-old, like many of the people who knocked at this door.
I'm really okay with the millstone with this guy.
Well, here's just to let you know that just this not just a single thing. When I worked before I moved to Denver, Colorado, I worked for everyone heard Wounded Warrior Project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a group because these guys were two Marines that went to the WWP, found out there was really nobody in the military that was working at them at HQ, and they were pocketing a lot of money up at the WWP. So they went nuts and got almost did some bad things. Ended up starting their own group. It was Upstate Warrior Project. And a great group. We worked at Think Locally, Act Locally. We had 3 counties. We focused on that. I was part of Spartanburg County. So I was going into the prisons to find these military guys to see if they needed anything. They need lawyers, whatever. Get their DD-214s, and then we go from there. And I had to do an orientation. And the deputy was talking to me about a guy that worked at Bank of America that was often prostitutes. And the only way they found him was they found a toe in the toilet at the headquarters in Columbia, South Carolina at Bank of America, because he was cutting their toes off and shoving them somewhere, and it accidentally fell out, I guess, and that was the evidence they needed to find this guy. I'm sitting there going, what? I think I've read stuff like that in Libido Dominandi of E. Michael Jones' book, but what? That's real? I mean, I remember going to the deputy going, you see that little guy look like Steve Urkel? Yeah, he bashed his dad's head in with a brick. I'm like, okay. And I'm going in the middle of all this. And, man. Yeah, sign of the times in a sense. So, I mean, I'll do it for wise. You got a good crowd rumor.
Well, thanks for the uplifting story there, Steve. And the end of the day, that's fantastic. Thanks, buddy.
It makes you break and pray to stations across a little bit better.
I may put you in the cry room for that story. That was fantastic. Very penitential for all.
Well, hey, and on top of that, that's in Blood Red, South Carolina State. That's in the Bible Belt, the capital. I mean, Bob Jones University is in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yikes. All right. No transition from that one. My cry room I am going to put, let me see if I can get the screen ready to go. There it is. I'm going to put The Rock for trademarking all of these phrases like The Rock and Jabroni and Samoan Sensation and Project Rock and Rock Bottom. He has
the Rock Apocalypse.
The Rock Apocalypse. He has secured the ownership rights for all of these things. When money is your god, apparently you will do whatever it takes to get it. So, oh, sorry. Go ahead. Now we have to pay $15.
You censored it before it came on. You already knew it was trademarked.
Yeah, it was trademarked. Anyway, that's my cry room. Come on, Rocky, do better.
For my trademarked, he could have trademarked Rocky.
Yeah, no, he couldn't because I think Stallone would have had a problem with that. I'm going to retweet this on my ex L Armed Catholic. Story is 25-year-old pizza man runs into a burning house, save 4 children who tell him another might be in the house, goes back in, finds the girl, jumps out the window with her, and carries her to a cop who captures the moment on body cam. This was a couple years ago, but still, folks, I just saw it, so he's going to be my saint of the week. Good for you, buddy. Pew, please like, subscribe, and share the news. Get that. The news from the Pew. Guys, for hanging out with us. God bless and Viva Cristo Rey. I muted you, Steve.